Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. So it is toasty in here. As you can see, probably playing somewhere here. I've had a bit of a fight. It is now Monday the 9th of October. I've been a busy boy. I've been getting on. I'm so sorry I haven't done any videos. I just wanted to get some headway, but we're going to hopefully have much more regular updates, given that we are a week and a day away from the MOT. So let's cover what I've just been doing and what you've just seen. So underneath, for those who aren't familiar with the T140 or any oil in frame Bonneville, but basically you have this big plate here, which is effectively the sump plate of the frame. So your oil sits in this big central tube here, which is lovely and warm at the moment. And then basically your pump takes a feed from this big hose here via this plate, and on top of this plate sits a gauze filter, which I'll put a photo of in now, and that goes onto 4 studs which live under there. And this was all disassembled when we actually took the bike apart, God knows how long ago, but that was already taken apart and the studs were particularly bad. I hadn't realised until I've just come to fit it that they were that badly damaged. So we've got them here. Obviously had to use the vice grip. I couldn't even do the traditional 2-nut lock up, pull these studs out, and I haven't got a 8mm stud extractor here, so we went with the classic vice grip method. You can see one of them was a replacement that had been done in M8. That one's well over long. This one had barely 3 threads engagement. And they're quite short studs anyway, so I've taken some 5/16 bolts, cut them down and made up some studs because I just don't have time to wait for things to be delivered. I've got some old disused nylock nuts there and some spring washers just to make sure they're okay. They'll get Loctited in, but I need to get those studs in the frame. I can then fit the gauze and that filled housing with 2 gaskets, and then effectively that's all the oil lines in. Before I do that, let's have a bit of a rundown of where we are on the bike. So as I say, I've got the oil return line in here, which comes from the pump. Hopefully you can see that down in here. So that drops in here, comes along underneath the back of the motor up to the top, on its way to feeding back to the frame. It spills off and feeds the rockers via this hose here, which comes onto this branch. Got some lovely new copper washers and the original donuts, which cleaned up okay, to be fair. So that's the feeds. Then obviously return line with the feed to the top, and obviously, like I say, this is the feed into the engine from the frame. So that's pretty much good to go. We've got the drive chain on now on the other side. We have the brake mass cylinder in, which you would have seen as subject to the other video, with its braided line waiting for the caliper. We have a wiring harness pretty much made up. It needs obviously final taping, and I've got a couple of grounds to branch into it, but for all intents and purposes the wiring harness is complete. I need to fit the regulator rectifier, which was the subject of its own little sub harness, and its own fuse. So we've got main fuse in here, feeds up to the ignition switch on the side of the headlight there. This is my temporary key because Luke didn't leave me the key when he went to Florida. I fixed this switch, which I also didn't film. And then I've got a bunch of stuff here. It looks very rat's nest at the moment, but this is a collective of sub harnesses. So you can see here the indicator circuit is all on a sub harness. So if somebody doesn't want to run indicators, they just have to disconnect this plug, tape it up, disconnect these 2 spades, and then it's clean and done. This is the headlight sub harness that comes from the left hand handlebar switch with its warning light, and these 2 feeds here which need shortening and connecting to a H4 connector, and then somewhere in here is the oil pressure warning light there. So that'll all neaten up. There's plenty of room in the back of that headlight anyway. but I need grommet for here and then some blanks for the other side. There we have it. So the oil plate is in place. Obviously that headlight now has the sub harness fitted, and there's a H4 conversion kit there. We'll talk about that when we get that fitted. Next on the list is just a few spurious wiring jobs. So I need to tape all this up. I'm not going to make you, well, I can't make you do anything. I'm not going to film taping this up. It's just loom taping, getting this to fit. I'm just about to drill a hole here to mount the main fuse in, and I'm just working out where things are going to live. And then once I've got them in place, I will show you how I did it, or what I've done more so, and why I chose to put things where I chose to put them. But yeah, it's coming together, it really is. There ain't much time left though. There ain't much time. And it is the next day, so the wiring harness is taped up. I'm fairly happy with that, to be fair. The loom tape from ALM, link in the description below, is pretty darn good. I think I've done a fairly neat job of it. So after the battery died on my time lapse, I finished taping up to here. Obviously we have the items in here pending new grommets for the headlight. All our warning lights are in place, and our switch. This just needs connecting onto the back of the ignition switch, but this is my key temporarily because Luke's hoarding the one that's actually for the bike. I also, after the fact, made up a nice little bracket for the horn because that was missing. Got that in place. He's just loose because he needs painting. That's the horn that was on the bike when it came in. Got nice connections there. Then run down here feeds our oil pressure switch and the 2 wires for the contact breaker for electronic ignition. So those are done, and then if we come further back, you can see I now have a nice HT lead made up. He's ready, and the one for the other side, and by proxy then you can see I've made a fairly neat little bracket, riveted that in there. The whole idea of this is to not extensively modify the bike, so I can't see anybody in its future wanting to put it exactly back to standard, doing nut and bolt restoration. It's not really the bike for that. It's got some it's got character, it's had a life. I know we spoke about this before, but it's definitely been an accident previously, quite a bad one. The swing arm mount here, where it fits into the frame, you can see there is a horrendous weld in there. Rear loop of the frame is all twisted. This is a repair that's been put in, so it's not the best example, but it's characterful, I suppose. That's an excuse for saying it's not right. But yeah, so but I've put this bracket in, riveted in place, so if anybody at any point in its life wants to put this back to standard, they just drill those rivets out, and there's a couple of holes to fill if they felt they needed to. But the mounts for the original 2 ignition coils are still there. I've got my nice little mount in here for this fuse. I just need to do another on this side for the rectifier fuse, and I need to get the ignition module in, and I've put a tape line down here for where we're going to locate the regulator rectifier. So that's next on my list. Obviously we've got the brake fluid reservoir in play now. He just needs kind of manipulating a little bit. I need to run the ignition wiring in to here. But essentially we're really cracking on now. I'm trying to keep up with filming this, but it just seems impossible. But I wanted to catch this before I put it all together, and it's just like, oh look, there was a bike built in 3 weeks. So on the bench at the moment I've got the rear mudguard. To be fair to him, Luke spent ages cleaning all the bright work for this up, but it was about 18 months ago and it's all tarnished again, so this needs a going over, and underneath is not the happiest. And from memory, I'm pretty sure mine is. I think these later Triumph mudguards were supposed to be some degree of stainless steel, because it's not chrome plated, it's definitely bare metal finish, I think, because nothing is bleeding through to any sort of nickel from what I can see. So yeah, I think it's just a low grade stainless. So we get the white wheel in there anyway, and then I've got some, very much an advocate for the Simonese paint, and somewhere in here there should be some black underguard, so it's like a textured stone chip finish. We get a good bit of that on there. But what I have done is I've drilled 2 more holes in this mudguard that is already full of holes, and we've got some lovely little rev nuts in there, which is now housing a beautiful tri-spark regulator rectifier, so we should have absolutely no charging issues on this. So I'm going to drop this back in the bike now. There's plenty of cable here to lead that through, get a connector just above the gearbox, and then we can run these up, get some sheathing on them, and work out where these are going to be terminated. And that is that for that episode, guys. So haven't got done what I intended to get done, but we have got done other things. I didn't know Stephen was going to come and help me, so yeah, made a big difference. We got the front caliper all fitted, the wheel back in, we have the brake line in place. Obviously that needs clipping to the mudguard once it's in, and then we can tidy this hose up, doing the old cable tie trick there, but that's bled out really well, so that's happy. Doing the same kind of trick with my block of wood. Back brake is all in and ready. This is lift loose for the keen-eyed of you, awaiting a brand new speedo cable, so I can unbolt that, spin this out of the way, get the new speedo cable in, because it runs in just behind there, if you can see that. So yeah, that's all good. Obviously I've got the brake reservoir mounted to our nice little electronics plate. We've got the new micro power ignition coil in place. The tri-spark regulator rectifier is in, and the harness is run through. I need to do a last little bit of tidying up on this. So we've got our contact breaker electronic pickup for the electronic ignition. They're pretty good, they just need a bit of tape on them. Likewise with the coil wires, he's obviously going to live there. I think the wiring's relatively neat. It's back out at some point. Mudguard's going to come back out, and then going to shorten this bracket. We've got this nice shorter battery. We need a battery strap. That's got to go on the list for Stafford. I say we will be there on Saturday. If you see us around, come and give us a shout. Get one of the shiny new work stickers, and yeah, I think I'm feeling optimistic. But like I say, tomorrow is Wednesday, which means 1 week until the MOT. So this video will be going up on Wednesday, hopefully get that edited, and yeah, so this is where I am, 1 week away. I've still got, I know I've said I'm going to do it several times, I've still got the primary to do down there. That all needs building up. I've got to do the ignition timing, I've got to do the tappet clearances, fuel lines, balance the carb, rear mudguard, wiring the tail light, all that with the speedo cable. We've got to get a speedo mounted. I've got a little bit more neatening up here to do, and then get this in. This is pending on the rubber grommets we're going to get from the show. Yeah, there's still a list. There is still a list. Front mudguard, obviously. So thank you for joining me in this one. It's probably been quite a long video. I can't even tell you what's in it. Yeah, but this is where we're at. So on that note, take care, guys. Oh, and yeah,